Hey everyone, it's BJD Doll Fam and welcome back to a new episode. Today's topic of discussion, resin dolls. Hello again and welcome back to BJD Doll Fam. As I said in the beginning of the video, today we are going to be discussing resin ball jointed dolls. And I know this is going to be completely different and new for you guys. It's very, very exciting because these are different than Smart Doll. And I know my last two videos have been involved with unboxing and reviewing Smart Dolls. I do plan on doing more, I guess you could say, reviews and things like that as products come out. There are a couple of dolls that I do want still from Smart Doll. So there's definitely going to be more of those in the future. So definitely do not worry. But I do want to talk about the children that I had before my Smart Dolls, and the two that I have with me today are Elise, who is my elf girl right here, and we have Zen, who's sitting over to the side. Now, you're probably wondering, dude, what is the difference between your resin ball jointed dolls and your Smart Doll? And the first thing is absolutely the material. I know that I said that Smart Dolls are vinyl dolls, and these are of course made with resin, so the consistency is completely different. Whereas your Smart Doll has like a soft, matte, I would say like a velvet, but it's definitely like a soft, matte plastic material. You can press on it in all of the areas, all the different parts of the body, and it's gonna give. It's gonna have a slight little give when you squeeze on it, right? So it's kind of like a softer plastic feel. Actually, the best thing to say, if you've ever had like vinyl flooring and stuff like that, depending on what kind you have, it feels a lot like my personal vinyl flooring that I have downstairs, which is like a wood grain almost, so it looks like wooden tiles, but it's a vinyl, and that vinyl feels very much the same as what a Smart Doll feels like. Now for resin ball jointed dolls, the resin material, it does have like a soft feeling to it, but it also feels like a glossy, it's a hard plastic, right? Like it's definitely, like, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's definitely like a much harder material. If you've never worked with resin before, then you won't know exactly what I'm talking about until you have one in your hands. But if you know, you know. And the material is a lot stiffer and it's a lot harder. They tend to feel a little bit heavier, in my opinion. They have a little bit more weight to them than a regular like plastic doll, or even compared to a Smart Doll, they have a little bit more weight than that. But in general, these dolls are just as customizable as a Smart Doll, in which case you get into the hybrid option for a lot of resin ball jointed dolls, and I will touch more on the hybrid of resin dolls when I talk about Zen, because he is a hybrid doll. Now, the one thing I like about both Elise and Zen, I got them from Denver Doll Emporium. I'll post a link in my description below, so you can go check out Denver Doll Emporium. And the brand, the company that both of these dolls are from is actually called Doll Leaves. And I actually really like the Doll Leaves brand. I feel like in the ball jointed doll community, Doll Leaves is very undervalued and very underappreciated at this point. These dolls run probably between $130 to maybe at max $200 just as their regular dolls. Of course, they have special editions and limited quarterly releases and things like that, and those are definitely going to be worth a little bit more money even if you get like a full set. But for the most part, their dolls run about $130 to about $180 to $200, which I think if you're getting into the ball jointed doll hobby and you like these types of dolls, I'll go ahead and see if I can get like a little bit of a close-up for her face. As you can see, she's absolutely stunning. I think for a first entry-level doll, Doll Leaves is really good. Bobobi and Resin Soul, which is the hybrid for Zen. Again, I'll explain that in a minute. They're also a really good entry point for these types of dolls. They're relatively inexpensive, so you can get into the hobby without spending, $500 to $1,000 on a resin doll just to, see if you even like it. So you're not really investing that much money in. at the start if you go with an option like this. However, I will say I actually really appreciate the sculpts of this company, and the price point plus the sculpts that I absolutely love. You know, it's just a no-brainer that I would actually absolutely support the company anyway. So, again, going back to the differences of these dolls. So what's different about a resin ball jointed doll compared to a smart doll is that their internal mechanism is different. So the smart doll essentially has a internal skeleton kind of built in, so like you can do different poses and the joints are going to hold, and it's going to be really easy to get them into that specific model pose and get them ready for their close-up and make them look really pretty for camera. Whereas these dolls are strung together with like an elastic bungee cord, and they tend to, if you don't have them sueded, they can snap into place. So doing something like this isn't usually an easy thing without them going all the way up or all the way out or doing something that they're not supposed to, because there's not a lot of traction in the joints because of how smooth the material is. So what you can do, and one way to combat that, is to suede the joints. There's a multitude of ways you can do it. They sell little silicone discs that you can throw into the joints that'll help with sueding. You can use little pieces of leather, scrap leather. That's what a lot of people use for sueding because it's a little bit more of a permanent adjustment. Or with, I think, a great majority of the community, and a lot of people do, even I did for Elise, is just hot glue sueding, where you just take your hot glue and you put it in the joint, you spread it really thin. It does the equivalent to the silicone discs or the leather, so it's actually cool. So it's actually really cool because it helps retain like partial bent positions and things like that, and it makes it really easy for you to pose your doll and get them ready, like I said before, for their close-up and make them look really, really pretty. And the other thing that this allows for too, I feel like it gives, a better range of motion than a smart doll as well. Being able to have that 360, rotation and things like that. I mean, you can do that with the smart doll, but like with the elbows, for example, if I wanted to have the doll touch her face, like this is kind of what it looks like. It's not completely pretty or realistic looking because our elbows don't do that, but it does look a little bit better than the smart doll. Whereas like you can bend it 90 degrees, it looks fine, but if you bend it all the way out, then it starts to look really awkward unless you're wearing long sleeves, if that makes any sense. And I don't mean that in a bad way against Smart Doll at all, but it is something that I just need to point out, and I'm just doing a comparison with a Resin BJD, and they're in an absolute completely different ballgame because the material is completely different, and the entire construction is completely different. But, again, that's why we're doing this video. So, that's pretty much enough about that. Again, this is my girl Elise, and if you couldn't see before, she does have her elf ears. This is why I called her my elf queen. She is kind of the queen of my little group of dolls because she has like an RBF, as I like to call it. I'm not going to say what that stands for. If you know, you know. She just has a resting beauty face. I'll put it that way. So, she's gorgeous. She's stunning. I love her. She's in the normal skin tone. I know it's kind of reading very, very pale on the light, and I'm using a white light, and I know that's not doing her any justice. And it's making her look very pale and almost white, like porcelain white, but I can promise you she does have a little bit of like a yellowy pink undertone that you will not see on camera. And that's totally fine. Zen is the same way. He's the same skin tone. And it's pretty neat. So I'll go ahead and I'll put Elise back down. And then I'm going to pull up Zen. He is my elf boy. And I know you can already see his ears because his hair is kind of short. And I apologize that he kind of looks like a psycho. That's not how he was looking before we had this video started. Actually, hold on one second. I'm sorry, everyone. So, this is my boy Zen. He is my elf boy. And I do apologize that he looks a little crazy, but I have not swayed him yet. So, as I said before, it just kind of makes it really difficult because he wants to be very snappy when you're moving things around. Like, I'm not even doing anything and he's wanting to go back into position just because of the tension of the string that's in his body, the elastic pieces and stuff. So it's kind of natural, I guess you can say, for him to be very jumpy and kicky, as you would call it, because of that. I could sway him just like I did with Elise, which I probably will at some point, but for right now I just haven't gotten around to it. But this is my boy, and he is a hybrid. So the body is a Doll Leaves male body. This isn't the new one. I think this is just a regular male body that Denver Doll had on their website. And his head is actually from Resin Soul, and the sculpt for the head is Song. It's a Resin Soul Song. He is in normal skin. He does have a company face up. He's not like Elise, so he doesn't have a lot of facial makeup and things like that. He's pretty low-key in that department. He does have his eyelashes. Again, not like Elise where she has extended fake eyelashes that come out so it looks more realistic. He does not have any false lashes. He just has everything drawn on his face, and like I said, very minimal face up or makeup otherwise. But this is my boy Zen, and I wanted to introduce him. And I know this isn't as exciting as, my unboxings that I've done, but I did want to talk about my resin children. I did want to talk about my resin children because I do feel like they deserve some spotlight. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video today, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.